Well, after dominating in all phases, offense, defense, and special teams, Mississippi State blanked their foe. The real question, do those flashes point towards something much bigger?
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. My name is Jaron Spor. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We got Reaction Monday for you today. Obviously, we always start with offense, but we're going to dive into the defense in the next segment because it was also dominant. And then, of course, like we do every Monday, we will give our top dog of the week. So first, let's start with the offense. 63-0. It was the final score against Alcorn State. They put up 514 yards. Let's see, the one turnover, which was a really bad pick by Chapin. But other than that, pretty flawless outing out there.
Yeah, they were. It was the first couple plays. I think it was first play Chapin missed on a deep throw, and you're like, oh, okay, this is going to happen. But then right out of the gate, hit Mosley on a 75-yard pass.
Yeah.
At that point, it was kind of all right, we got this going in the bag. It was one of those things you knew at some point we were going to take this one over, but you weren't sure if it was going to be from the first snap. And it wasn't. It was from about the third snap. But it was over pretty quick, and the offense looked great.
It's funny looking at the first quarter. I guess the other thing that wasn't flawless was the penalties, though, 10 penalties. But looking at the first quarter, 2 plays, 75 yards, touchdown, 6 plays, 29 yards, touchdown, 2 plays, 76 yards, touchdown, 3 plays, 27 yards, touchdown, 28-0. I mean, right out of the gate, like you mentioned. And defensively, it was 6 plays punt, 2 plays interception, 3 plays punt.
Yeah.
I mean, just dominant.
It was completely dominant. And I don't know if Booth was hurt or something. We talked about that, off air a little bit. Only 2 carries. It was a little weird. He had that one big carry pretty early in the game where he broke free. Then we didn't see him for a while. So I don't know. I'm sure Lebby will update that on the press conference if there is anything actually going on with that. But Fluff looked great. He had a couple receptions. There was one where he was lined up. I think it was a 5 wide receiver set. He was lined up as one of the receivers. Got him in the flat, and he made a move where the guy just went flying past him, and he just almost got in for the touchdown. So he had a great game.
Well, and I talked about this obviously on Friday, but in the pre-game post that I made as well. My key, I wanted to see them kind of dominate the line of scrimmage and dominate the ground game because we still feel like that's probably their best. Has to be. I think the running back room is still the best position on the team, and then I still think the offensive line blocks the running better than the passing. They really hadn't shown that much up to this point, and so I said I wanted a big day on the ground. Well, 282 yards, almost 8 yards of carry, and 6 touchdowns. Talk about quite a big day on the ground. And of players that had more than 1 carry, only one person didn't have over 4 yards per carry. And that was Johnny Daniels, who had 3.2. Chapin had 4, and then everyone outside of him had over 5, had over 5.8 or 5.8 or above. So all of them really solid. Xavier Gayton had 12.5. Camario Taylor 13.3. Seth Davis 15.5, and that touchdown from 23 yards out was great to see, and him to get the game ball afterwards. That video, I always love seeing those kind of videos. It was just a real emotional moment for him.
Yeah, that was a great moment that he was able to get in and get that touchdown. And I know that was end of the game, but the blocking looked great. They opened up a huge hole for him. He could have walked in.
And that's what you want to see.
It was
against a bad opponent. You want to see that kind of blocking.
My favorite thing I saw early in the game was the package when they brought in Camario Taylor and they ran it.
At running back?
No, well, when he threw the touchdown pass.
Yeah, when they had him at running back and they handed it to him.
Yeah. He brought in, and you were like, okay, here comes the running play. And it's just some 40-some-odd yard bomb for
And he took a shot to the face, and he threw a dart.
Yeah, he did. It was a great throw, great catch. He looked good. He actually got to run the offense a little bit. He went 2 of 3 for 46 yards. But, in the second half, he was out there a lot, taking the snap, handing it off. things like that. So I'm glad he got in the game a little bit when there was actually not in the balance, but before the game was over.
Yeah, and I do love that Jordan Mosley leads the team in receiving yards with 75, and it was on the one catch for 75 yards and a touchdown.
Oh, but yeah, hey, Shapen looked pretty good. He had that one pick that was just bad.
Yeah, he got drilled as he threw it. Just tuck it at that point. But yeah, he did play well, and I thought honestly all three quarterbacks played well. You mentioned Kamario Taylor, but Luke Kromenhoek also played well. He was 1 for 1 for 13 yards. He only had 1 carry for 3 yards, but it was a touchdown. I thought he looked good. Again, Kamario Taylor looked really good. You see the future looks bright at that position with either one of him, but it definitely feels like Taylor's got a little something extra when you watch him play. You can just see him. He's special. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, he is. And he's one of those guys. He's a different kind of athlete. And you see it like guys his size should not be able to move like he moves. Yeah. And you have thrown this out a little bit before, like mentioning not in actual, this is who he's going to be, Cam Newton type comparison. Right. But on a couple of the longer runs he had, he looks like Cam when he moves. Yeah. Like he honestly, he has that same type of movement to him. Maybe a little bit more shifty, not quite as powerful, but that same type of.
Yeah.
And even though it's not really offense, Anthony Evans on the punt return.
Yeah.
That changed.
He's flashing.
3 returns for 97 total yards. Yeah. Like every time they punted to him, he flipped the field right back to where the offense was working with short fields.
Yeah, no, he was great. And that's what he did at Georgia, really primarily, because he wasn't much of a receiving threat. But speaking of the receiving part, he had 4 for 66 and a touchdown. Brennan Thompson had 2 for 53 and a touchdown. So both those guys are continuing to put multiple really good performances together. Obviously, they were great against Arizona State. And so they're starting to really sink in and play good football at the wide receiver position and make you feel more comfortable with that wide receiver unit. And it was good to see a lot of the guys get some touches. Grayson Harris got in there. The freshman, San Francisco McGee, Aiden Williams all had reception as well. Max Reese even got in and got a reception, the tight end. So a lot of positives. I mean, again, we talked about it coming in to the game on Fridays. I think it was Friday's podcast. Just we wanted to see how does this team handle success for the first time in the Jeff Lebby era. You had this massive win. How do you handle it? You're playing an opponent you're way better than, and they handled it really well, obviously, jumping out 28-0 in the first quarter. And so now you got to keep stacking it because you got Northern Illinois this weekend. That'll be at, 3:15, on SEC Network. So you got to keep stacking it, and you need to get into SEC play 4-0. And, maybe they'll finally rank you at that point.
Right. Yeah, I was looking at that again. Yeah. Didn't really seem like much ground was made up. But again, when you play these schools that are the level of Alcorn State, there's really no positive from the standpoint of the bigger school, because if you win 63-0, you're supposed to win 63-0. If you win a close one, or for, like we've seen every now and then, you lose, well, it's just disastrous. So, I mean, it's hard to gain too much, and it's hard to have anything negative to say. When you put up 63 points as an offense, I don't care who you play. That's a good day.
Yeah.
So hard to be critical. Sure, if we wanted to, we could find some nitpicky things, but at that point, what are we doing here? I mean, we put up 63 points.
Yeah, you have to be satisfied with it. And if you go by others receiving votes, Mississippi State would be ranked 29th. So still just on the outside of the top 25. Maybe a win against Northern Illinois will put you in.
Gotta get some help.
Yeah, if you can get some help for sure, or if you have just another dominant performance, which you should. I mean, Northern Illinois isn't having a good year either. I mean, they've been struggling this season, which, we went through all of the people that they have lost, it kind of makes sense that they would struggle. Whereas, before we weren't really sure. We thought they could be a decent team, but they're, we mentioned it last week actually. So the everydayers will remember this one. But yeah, they're 1-1 on the year. Their only win is a 19-17 win over Holy Cross. So that's, again, another winnable game for you. And so, yeah, just keep stacking them and then get that night game against Tennessee. And, maybe game day shows up or something.
Yeah, maybe game day shows up, but you got to go take care of business. And if you play like this, you're going to win the games you're supposed to win.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Offense was great, but the defense might have even been better. We'll talk about that coming up next. All right. Well, quick question for all you college football fans out there. If you could go back in time and sit front row at your school's biggest rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Yes, I said hat. For me, it'd be the Game Time hat. It's the hat I'm wearing right now, right here. It's an amazing hat. For me, these aren't just hats. I've told you about this many times. I wear it every game day for us. They're the same vintage styles fans wore back in the 80s and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same price they did back then when you use code Locked On and get your vintage hat for $16.99. Head to thegamecaps.com. Grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use code Locked On for an exclusive discount because legends wear the game. And caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-hour energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with zero sugar and zero crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. And honestly, I just love how fast it kicks in and that it's sugar-free, so I don't have to worry about crashing later. And also, if you're tracking your macros, that helps out as well. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love to be bold and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So like I said, the offense was amazing, 63 yards. You put over 63 points, over 500 yards of offense, just, basically a flawless performance. The defense was also great. They held Alcorn State to 155 yards and obviously pitched a shutout. So, Landon, what was kind of your takeaway from the defense? You're still muted, actually. Nope.
There we go. We're back.
I'm surprised I haven't done that yet.
Muted right before you went to break and then undo it. The only negative, I'm just going to get this out of the way at the beginning. The only thing I can find the negative, not enough sacks in my opinion. They did control the line of scrimmage. They just didn't get to the quarterback. Really, they affected a lot of throws, but you would like to see a few more numbers in that sack column. That's the only thing I can say that would be a negative. Yeah, and that's when I try to look at it, I try to get the negatives out of the way first like you did. The one sack was definitely something that pops out. Now, there's some teams, they can just get rid of the ball quickly, especially these teams that know they have a disadvantage. They try to do that. The 5 tackles for loss was another one that popped out to me, but that kind of goes with sacks. But that's really where the negatives stop. I mean, the positives are obviously the 3 forced turnovers. That's obviously the positives. Yeah, and one of them was right out of the gate, and I don't remember who the receiver was, but he had a few steps on Brumfeld. Like, it looked like it was going to be a shootout, and that ball went off of his helmet or face mask or something, and he was right there to take advantage. So kind of got beat on the route, but ended up working out for him. So and then you had the 2 fumbles on top of it. So it was a really good defensive performance from that side. Well, we talked about the tackles for this was kind of the weird thing about looking at the stats after the game, because like you mentioned, they did control the line of scrimmage, and that shows up with the 2.5 yards per carry. But you only had 5 tackles for loss, which usually when you have a number that low, it's because you have several that went for -1, -2, then one pops for 4, and then it's back to -1, like stuff like that. And that's not what happened in this one. Yeah, and it's obvious. It's one of those things. You look at those stats, like the tackles for loss and the sacks, and you're like, oh, well, they must have gained a lot of yards, but just didn't convert scoring chances. Yeah. I mean, that one pass that I mentioned that went off the guy's helmet and then a missed field goal were really their only 2 scoring chances the entire game. It was a dominant performance, and you look at 155 total yards. Yeah. So when you keep someone to where, a field and a half, you're going to win that game. Yeah. And dominantly. Yeah, and coming into the game, a guy that we talked about was Jacorian Sewell.
the running back from Alcorn State, and he had 8 carries, 21 yards. I mean, they completely shut him down. Reggie Davis was another one that we mentioned. 2 carries, only 10 yards. Jalen Tolbert, the quarterback, 11 of 18, 80 yards and an interception. They averaged 4.1 yards per pass, which is just crazy to think about. Amarian Blake's had the best day receiving, which he was another guy we mentioned, 3 catches for 31 yards. But yeah, I mean, it was just an overall dominant performance. It looked like 2 teams that it was a mismatch on the field. But that's how you want it. That's how it should look. And even last year, being an SEC team, but going 2-10, it didn't always look like that.
No, it didn't. And something I mentioned about what I really like about this defense before that popped up is how they rallied with the football. There were so many times, and this is a game where you get up 28-0 in the first quarter. It can be real easy to get a little lazy with your, hustling to be the second man to tackle and all that.
Right.
That never showed up. This team was flying the entire game. And I mean, hey, it's still a long season. Before the season, I was a little skeptical on if Hutzler was the man who could actually turn around this defense, because you look at his resume, there's nothing saying that he's that guy.
Right.
And when you look at what happened last year, it was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, he seems to have got these guys. If it keeps up, even if obviously they're going to start giving up a lot more yards, a lot more points once SEC play. But if they keep playing like this with this kind of intensity and hustle and just passion, it's going to be a fun team to watch.
Yeah, no, they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. And Gillette led the team in tackles with 5. But they had a lot of guys that were contributing to the game and had good days. DJ Reed, Ray Thomas, Stuart Mitchell, Joseph Head, like all these guys had, 3 or 4, 5 tackles in the game. And I actually have a crazy stat. I'll save it actually for the end of the show, because I actually have a crazy stat to talk about when it comes to the defense, but it also has to relate to my top dog of the week. So I'll save that stat, but just, yeah, an overall dominant performance, and that's what you want to see. You want to see your team that you believe is such a more talented team, much more talented than the team that you just played, and you want to see that when you watch it on the field. You don't want to see, oh man, they actually look like they can be on the field with Mississippi State, and especially Alcorn State's a team that's 0-3. They're not a very good team. So you want to see a dominant performance, and that's what we got. But all right, coming up next, we'll do our top dog of the week. Don't go anywhere.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. And it's quick, easy, and one of my favorite ways to follow along with football. I love, just checking those possessions, finding, a quarterback like, Josh Allen, maybe it's more than 260 passing yards, or, the more or less rushing touchdowns, receiving touchdowns, things like that. Those are my favorite things to pick. And it's so easy. You can pick 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you get one of those bigger ones, it's like 6 picks. Even if they don't all hit, you can still cash out and double your money that way. That's what makes Prize Picks so good. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And I love using FanDuel because, it kind of fits however you like to bet, whether it's player props, same game parlays, or what is my favorite, jumping in live with those live bets. You see a player getting hot, you want to bet the over on that. Maybe they're cold, you bet the under. That is my favorite way to use FanDuel, and it's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
All right. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, who is your top dog of the week?
Well, I'm going with Fluff Bothwell. I mean, he really led the offense. I know there were some big plays, but when you go 12 for 93 yards, averaging almost 8 yards a carry and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And that one pass reception that I mentioned earlier where he looked dead to rights at about 4 or 5 yards and froze 3 people with a move and went upfield. He was awesome.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I like that one. I thought about him. I thought about, obviously Blake Shapen had a good performance. Kamari Taylor had a good performance. That was another one I was thinking of.
He's the top dog in my heart.
Yeah. I was also looking at okay, who is someone that I can highlight that won't play a lot this year, but because the blowout was so big that we can highlight him. I'm going to end up going with that. And I actually just made this switch because I just thought of someone that I probably should have went with. I'm going with Seth Davis because of the moment he had and the great. He obviously had a really good game, only on 2 carries and 31 yards, but just because, missed all last year, had this devastating knee injury, and to overcome that moment and then have that moment in the locker room, I think he deserves the recognition to get the top dog of the week, and maybe he can be a real player for this team going forward. The other one that I was thinking of was Nick Mitchell, and this was the crazy stat I was going to bring up. So he had 4 tackles in this game, which was second on the team. He is tied for the lead in tackles with 18 with Isaac Smith on the season. He has no solo tackles this year.
Wow, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? And here's another thing. Isaac Smith, who he's tied with, has 1 solo tackle this year.
I think that does point to what I mentioned that I keep saying. To the ball. They just keep they all get there in unison to bring people down, which can hurt. Which is
very different compared to last year.
But it's what you want from your defense.
It's what you want. Last year, let's see, Isaac Smith had 46 solo tackles of his 127, which is a decent number on the solo number, but it's not outrageously high. But yeah, I was going to say, it comes back to your point against Arizona State, where it seemed like the team was rallying and multiple guys were in position to make the tackles. And the best defenses, and I'm not saying Mississippi State's one of the best defenses in the country, but the best defenses do that.
Yeah, they do. And we're seeing it. And it was not a one-time thing. We noticed it in the opener. We saw it again in Arizona State. Now we're seeing it again. So it's a legitimate trend to how this defense plays. And I hope we get to see more of Seth Davis as the season goes on. I know it was just 2 carries, but he looked really good. He showed good vision in those 2 carries, had some explosiveness.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Booth and Bothwell are going to be your 2 main guys, but he can bring something to be that third back. Johnny Daniels did not look great in his carries in this game. So
Davis looked better.
Maybe there's a chance he can take over that third back row, and if that's what you're getting from your third back, that's a stacked room.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, well, it's another big moment on Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside 2-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. The college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. I'm Jaron. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We post daily videos Monday through Friday, so check those out. We also do a pre and a post game video every Saturday during the football season, so obviously don't miss those as well. Keep hitting that like and subscribe, even though we've surpassed the 1,000 mark. All that help still goes forward. Still helps us big time. All those subscriptions, all those likes on stuff, comments on stuff means a lot to us, guys. So keep that up for us, please. And until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.